Hi, welcome back to Talking Insights. I'm your host Antonio, and today we're spotlighting one of the standout winners of this year's SMR Awards. Joining me today is Ariadna Carrascal, whose project From Features to Feelings won Best Data-Driven Marketing Strategy for completely redefining how Samsung connects with the consumers in the UK. In a market where feature-led tech marketing has had its limits, Ariadna and the team at Savanta helped Samsung rebuild its strategy from the ground up using 30 months of data, innovative technologies, and a fearless focus on emotional connection. The results? A new playbook that drove major lifts in Proud to Own, reshaped creative direction, and delivered extraordinary commercial impact. Today, we'll unpack how they did it. Ariadna, welcome to the show. Ariadna, welcome to Talking Insights. Thanks for your time and thanks for being here. And congratulations on your projects, on winning the Best Data-Driven Marketing Strategy Award at the SMR Awards. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Your project, From Features to Feelings. I wanna start by working on that. Like, I know that some people might not have read the case study yet, wasn't on the SMR Awards ceremony. Can you briefly set the scene, explaining what the core project was all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the UK smartphone sector is very high in competition. So we've got the main traditional players that would be Samsung, Apple. We have new well-established brands like also entering the main scene that would be Google. And we usually measure for Samsung, who we are working with, we measure brand attachment using the PTO score, Proud to Own score. That would be, I am proud to own this phone. I'm proud to have it, like displayed, like walk around with it. And then what we had seen is that with Apple's PR machine, like they always produce like very compelling stories. And we saw that like scores for Samsung with the entrance of Google and then how well Apple creatives were going, like it was flatlining. It wasn't driving the metric as much as we would like to see during the campaigns. So we started thinking, well, how can we address this? Because that was validated with global Samsung studies. So we could see that it was something that went beyond the UK, but something that was impacting especially the UK. So the brief that we got was like, we have scores flatlining, especially amongst Gen Z. What can we do to do it? Like, what is it that we are not getting through to our consumers, like through the messaging? What we found out is that we were producing creatives that were very heavy on the tech specs. So Samsung has incredible credentials for the tech behind their phones and all the products that they have. But we were missing an element of connection with the audience and with consumers in general. That is the emotional part. So it was a bit from going, like how to go from tech function over emotion to live enhancing tech. Like how did consumers need to receive that message for the strategy to change?
Right. It's very interesting, the Proud to Own campaign that you were mentioning, like, because you analyzed, I think it was over 30 months of data, and you uncovered deep emotional drivers and relations on that campaign. Were there any findings that you found like very surprising, and why did they matter so much for the whole project?
I think that when we did the key drivers analysis, obviously we were very lucky to have been tracking Samsung for a very long time at that point. So we had a lot of data to be mining. So for me, the most interesting bit was that when you did key drivers analysis of Proud to Own, you didn't find a single feature. Everything was about how having the phone, how knowing that the technology is there was making them feel. So that's why we took a two-step or two-tiered approach that was like, okay, we know that those are the key drivers of Proud to Own. Then let's find out what are the key drivers of the other elements. And then is when we found how the specs in combination with other emotional drivers, like where in a way, just like it's a sort of like, yeah, so basically like they all influence each other. And that is what is driving people saying or thinking that they are proud to own a brand. And then the most interesting part about proud to own as a metric is that it is highly correlated with purchase consideration and more especially purchase intent. And we could map it also to sales. So it was very key that we could see that, like, meanwhile the features were very important, they needed to fit into sort of a wider narrative as to how is this impacting my life day to day? How is this making my life better?
When I was reading the description of the project, there was a few buzzwords, catchwords, whatever you want to call it, that kind of, honestly, I didn't even know what it was. Mostly partly was like the concept clinics and the
Yeah.
life quality quote conjoined. Can you explain me, like I'm 5, what this is?
Yeah, so that for me was the best part of the project. So because conscious that like, and nowadays there is a tendency of like, if you've got the data, just analyze the data. What we thought was like, we do have the data, but what the data is not going to tell us is the emotion. So then what we had was a combined approach methodologically that was like fully integrated qual and quant. So once we did the driver's analysis, that was the first stage, like then we found the pillars of what was driving Proud to Own. So our next step was on the qualitative bit. What we did was, first of all, get all Samsung creative team and UK stakeholders in a room with us. Be like, those are the pillars that we're having. So it was like being in a clinic. We were diagnosing what in the messaging was wrong. So then we could put together some concepts, we could brainstorm, polish, and prepare concepts that we were going to put in front of consumers, doing some sort of a conjoint exercise. Like we would do it like in a quantitative way, but in a qualitative way. So we were able to put together groups of consumers that they were not Samsung promoters. So they were like close to not yet, but not yet proud to own a Samsung. So we wanted to know what would flip the switch for them. And then the most interesting part of this is that we got them just like the light went off in the studio. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. No worries.
We got them to analyze the language that we were using when we were communicating the different technological advantages that the phones had and how that could potentially impact their lives. And it was very interesting just like to see how they just like picked up like different elements of each concept that always had a technical feature, a truth about the brand, and a reason to believe in the brand, and how they would just mix and match them all to the point that it makes sense to them in terms of having a cohesive messaging that would make them think that they would be proud to own that product, that it would be believable for them as a message, the story that the brand was trying to tell.
It's almost like I was thinking about like almost in insights doctors, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like that.
Yeah,
We were the GPs in this case.
that's cool. And you also used AI in some kind of way to use the AI on the responses, right? On the open-ended responses. How did this unlock that traditional open ends that simply couldn't just be revealed the other way around?
So what we thought about is that obviously once the concepts had been refined by the consumers and our internal team, like through concept cleanings of the qual and conjoint consumer groups, the next step was the quantitative part. And it was like, amazing, we are going to have 8 refined concepts that we know that work with consumers. We are going to have a MAXIF. For each respondent individually, top 3 will go to a sequential monadic exercise. And on that sequential monadic, we're going to be like, okay, what is what you like the most about this concept? How does that feel? Like, how does that feel and fit with what you think about Samsung? So what we were able to do with the AI probing on the open ends is that when many times we find that when you ask an open-end question in a quantitative survey, you can get an answer that like you always wish that you could probe. Basically, there is something else there that would tell you so much and you cannot get to it because like you write like 2 sentences and then it's like, oh, I wish that I could have asked like a bit more about this bit that they wrote here. So that's where AI was very useful. So that was something that we were trialing internally and it was used for one of the first times at Savanta on this project. And what we did was like, okay, then the AI is going to read the response. It's going to have had access to the concept that they are seeing. So it will be able to ask a couple or three pertinent questions on, well, what else? Like if you say that you like it, but you like it, what is your favorite part about this concept? When you say that the way that like it transmits you like security on the durability of the phone and that is going to be there for you every day, like how so? Give me an example. So we were able to have like 3 or 4 responses that they were just like flowing from the first one. So in a way, we were able to get a complete story, even though it was a quantitative validation. We could get like this qual aspect to it, like this subtlety that we would have like when we are able to probe respondents, basically.
In a weird way, it was almost as making it almost more human, right? You had like
Exactly.
follow-up
Yeah.
questions, good follow-up questions. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. The project is very, very interesting. I know that it can create some impact, but Samsung is also a very big brand. It's also a very big company. Was it difficult to ensure that these findings, that this project was adopted and not just admired?
Not really. Like we're very lucky to have very close relationship with our clients and the stakeholders at Samsung. So I think that they were like very aware of this situation they were having with the flatlining or not like scores that were driving proud to own like as much. So at a local level, thinking about different partnerships that they could have that were like very region specific, like knowing who to target, like that was very well received in the sense that once this project was finished and the insight was presented, then that very quickly went on to be part of trainings, the internal brief before planning the local aspects of the campaigns in the UK. It's just like a common source of truth in a way that they had there and something that is backed by data is backed by data and backed by consumers. So it's not just like a number, like you have nuance there. You can see like what people have said, like how the message is going to work. And at the same time, we were able to provide some sort of a simulation of how much like PTO would go up. And we could see that later on when these findings were starting to be implemented, that scores were like going up by 5%. Recall of the campaigns was improving, like metrics amongst those that were recalling the local elements of the campaigns. They were outperforming what they were doing before. Also increased. So it was quite interesting to see and very rewarding because as you say, like many times, you can work on a project, have a lot of passion for it, because I did have a lot of passion about this project. It was the first project that I worked on just after I joined Savanta. So for me, it was like the first one, really.
Right.
And sometimes like that's what happens. Like you produce like your beautiful deck and it's just there just to be admired. But like I think that the way that we work through all the steps of the project and how much involvement our clients got to have like on this project, it was like a crucial step towards then like very seamlessly just being shared, being read, and like them knowing that what was being done wasn't just like a piece of insight, like something that is interesting to read. It was something that was grounded in reality.
Finalize, I have a question. Do you have any advice or takeaway for anyone's listening, from marketeers to insights professionals, for everyone that's listening that want to move into this more emotion-driven strategies?
That is an interesting one. I would say that right now, nowadays, technology is giving us lots of opportunities. We have access to a lot of data, a lot of tools, but if you are going to be capturing emotion, like a tool can give you a very good start as to what you would be looking towards, but then it is the full integration of the full like research experience, like having the qualitative element and the quantitative element working together hand in hand also with the tech that is going to harness the better results. So I would say that it's always like important to be very conscious that you are including the human lens, and at the same time that it's not only like the human lens that you're including, like you are able to make it fit like into the strategy, the broader strategy that you're trying to influence, or just, yeah, basically that's what I would say.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. Thank you so much for the advice. Thank you so much for the conversation. Congrats on the awards and the
Thank
project.
you.
Best of luck for the future of it and for the future of your work. And yeah, we hope to see you back next year for the awards again with another brilliant
Hopefully, fingers
project.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
There you go. Well, Ariadna, thank you so much for your time and for the
Oh,
conversation.
thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank. All right. And that's all for today, folks. Talking Insights is a production of Research World and SMR, bringing you the stories, voices, and ideas shaping the insights community around the world. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode, share your story, or learn more about sponsoring opportunities, send us an email at podcast@smr.org. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And join us next week for another great conversation. See you.